There's a lot of things to consider and organise before moving country, but I wouldn't change it for a moment. It has tremendously opened up opportunities, from being able to explore a new country that is England as a base of travel to other parts of Europe, to get a sense of a new healthcare setting, and really, these are just scraping the surface. So I want to share with you about the process I went through, so that if this is something you're considering, you have a good idea of what the process involves. The first and most important thing I found was a visa, because you need a visa to be able to work and live in the country. To determine what visa you're going to get, you want to check the eligibility criteria on the uk.gov website. Common visas for Australians include the Youth Mobility Visa or the Ancestry Visa. Even though there are limitations as to how far in advance you can apply for the visa, you want to start collating all your documents, getting copies of the original that need to then be signed by a reputable person within the community. And of course, this all takes a great deal of time, so get onto that side of things nice and early. Once you've done the documentation, you'll have to attend your biometric resident permit appointment. Basically there, they just take a photo of you, get your fingerprints scanned, and that's often within the city. So I went to central Sydney near the Harbour Bridge for my appointment. As you probably guessed, you're gonna need some savings, and no, that's not just to afford the coffee that's over $8 and tastes half as good as what it does in Australia. You're gonna be paying for flights, your visa and the NHS surcharge that goes with that, accommodation, and don't worry, because I've covered all this in a separate video, so go check that out at the end of this video. Okay, so you've checked you can get your visa. Great, now we're making progress. Next, to get ready for the job search, you want to update your CV. Start to build connections on LinkedIn so that when you arrive, you can hit the ground running. It's unlikely that you're going to secure a job from within Australia, and that's because there's already so many physios in England who are applying for those same jobs, and it's just not worth the risk for these companies to try and hire a person who hasn't even landed in the country. Having said that, if you're well prepared, you can sell yourself and you're ready for the interview, you can land a job very quickly. And it was actually within 24 hours of applying for my first job that I had secured the job. Next, I'm going to give you a word of wisdom that you may want to forego, but when you land in England, you're probably going to regret it. What is this warning? It is to set up a bank account from within Australia. And the reason is, you hear so many stories of people getting to England and struggling to set up a bank account because they're going to want all these details that you just don't have available. They're going to want proof of address, and because you haven't been living here for enough time, you're not going to have bills with your proof of address there. So if you actually get ahead of things and set up your account while you're still in Australia, for example, I set mine up with HSBC, and that allowed me, once I had arrived, I transferred some money over and I had it there ready to go. I know all of this admin sounds like a bit of a hassle, it's a pain, but trust me, when you knock these things off before you get to the country, it's just going to make it a much smoother process integrating into daily life. So let's just gain our bearings for a second. You've figured out which visa you can apply for. Your CV is ready and prepped so that you can go and land that killer job, and your daily life is feasible because you've got that bank account set up. But you also need to be able to work and do your physiotherapy within the country. There's no further exams or testing required to go from Australia to England like there is in some other countries, which is a real benefit, but you do need to fill out all the forms and documents. So again, get onto that early so you're prepared and you're not panicking in the last minute as to whether you're going to actually be able to practice once you land or if you're going to be delayed. And therefore you need to apply for the physio board registration called the HCPC, which is the equivalent of APRA in Australia. This can take 3 to 6 months, so you want to make sure you get onto it nice and early. The membership body for physios is called the CSP, so that's like the equivalent of the APA in Australia, and you don't actually need to do this too much later down the track because otherwise you're just going to be paying the monthly or the yearly fee without needing that to register. That's a very quick process once you have your HCPC, so you can leave that until you're even in the country. But you also need to be able to work and do your physio within England. As part of the form filling process, you're going to want to message your university and get a document outlining the syllabus and all the points you've gone through so that they can compare and say, yes, you've ticked off everything you need to and you can practice in the UK. Now, this is really just an administration fee. if you just contact someone at the uni in the physio department, they'll likely have a form ready for you to do this. It's not uncommon for people to go to new countries, especially when there's a good relationship like Australia and England. Very common for physios to transfer between the two. So contact your uni, they'll give you a form, and then you'll just pay the administration fee for them to get that information for you. I genuinely hope this has been really helpful in giving you an idea of what the process of moving to England as a physio is. But if you've understandably got some questions about how much this all costs, then check out this video here where I unveil all the details.